If you are running out of battery on your phone while eating out in China, it shouldn't be a problem these days. Just approach one of these machines that can be found in many restaurants, scan the QR code, and it will give you a battery. When you return it, you'll be charged through your WeChat account or Alipay, electronic wallets like PayPal or Apple Pay. And you're all set.
This type of sharing economy, whether it's a battery, an umbrella, or a bicycle, is becoming something that tech companies in other countries are learning from China. Over the years, Chinese tech companies have played a major role in the country's innovation. In November 2020, the Chinese Communist Party proposed the country's 14th five-year plan for national economic and social development, with an emphasis on the role of companies and entrepreneurs in the country's move toward more technological innovation. Dr. Lu Gang, founder of China's leading bilingual tech media TechNode, told me that this plan will be instrumental in facilitating the active participation of entrepreneurs and companies in building China's innovative power in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Lu Gang, for talking to us today. Nikkei Asia recently that the Japanese tech company InfoReach has borrowed the Chinese model of providing battery rental services to the Japanese market. How common is it these days for foreign companies in either in Asia or in North America to learn from its Chinese counterparts?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me here. I think we wouldn't say it's very common now, but I think we see more and more cases, and like how basically the global and the tech industry learn from China. I think like a power back sharing probably just one of them. And actually, if you look at the e-commerce, I think on the e-commerce side, you see more and more cases like how people started to learn, how basically like how TikTok works and how the even like Pinduoduo works, because like how live streaming, like a street sale works, and also on the virtual goods, and if on the Facebook, on many others social apps, I think the people to learn how the Chinese young generation play with the virtual goods. So I think there are many. I think probably another big case you can mention is the bike sharing. You see bike sharing almost everywhere, and it's big in China. But you see bike sharing, you see the scooter sharing. There are many. Probably you have to customize kind of the idea into the local market.
Right. Well, years ago, the Chinese tech companies were established almost purely as clones of their American counterparts. For example, Taobao was China's eBay, Renren was China's Facebook, etc. After years of evolution, how are the Chinese tech companies different from the American counterparts who they used to learn from? And what's unique about Chinese tech companies today?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. I think take me as an example. I haven't been to Silicon Valley for I don't know like 4 years or maybe 5 years. I think usually maybe 5 years ago, and for like Chinese entrepreneurs and even Chinese VCs, I think they've been visit Silicon Valley and also like Tel Aviv for like many times a year and try to learn what's happening there. And 5 years ago, it was interesting is probably when startup like pitch VC or pitch the media, and you heard quite often they were telling you, okay, we are the copycat of something, copycat of Facebook, blah blah. Basically, they try to find a benchmark, and from Silicon Valley or from outside China, and even on the VC side, when they consider the case, the portfolio, and they always say, oh, are you doing something similar to like Facebook in Silicon Valley? Because that's kind of a business model or idea kind of approved by Silicon Valley, which is means something. But now is when you talk to startups, I think it's you probably never heard them. They are telling you, oh, we are doing something somewhere already exists, and they are telling so basically we see, I don't know if the good or bad, but I think as a matter of fact is you see kind of two ecosystems, what we call like a decoupling of the ecosystem. So because in China in past 3 or 4 years, you see the unicorns, the most latest unicorn in China, I would say they're nothing to do with the Silicon Valley or outside China anymore. You know, the Pinduoduo, Ele.me, Xiaohongshu, you know, most of them, they're just for the Chinese market. I think they grew up, you know, basically from nothing in China. And also for on the VC side as well, I think for Chinese companies, they realize it's much easier to get to raise money from like RMB fund instead of US dollar funds.
Well, the Chinese Communist Party in November just unveiled proposals for the 14th five-year plan for the country's national economic and social development. A heavy focus of that document was innovation, tech innovation, and it stressed the participation from entrepreneurs and also companies. How do you think the document, the plan, is going to influence China's tech landscape in the coming years?
Yeah, I think just from my understanding, I think it's super great. I think I would say, so basically my reading is, it's not just about innovation. Also, I think we focus on like technology innovation. As I said, earlier, I think that the Chinese market is we are growing so fast. I think we have to sect to our population, and because it's such a massive market with the big population, and so that's what happened in the past 5 or 10 years. But if we're looking forward, I think that I think we need to focus on the technology itself, not just on the market itself, because if you look at the Silicon Valley as the kind of example, is what we learn from Silicon Valley is not we are learning the business model. Actually, we are learning the technology, how they kind of develop the technologies. I think that in next 5 or 10 years, I think the technology will be the key, not just the population. So if you read the plan from the government, I think everything is around technology innovation. To me, is I was I'm very excited, to hear that, and and probably, we mentioned about like unicorns. Unicorns are about the valuation, like 1 billion. But personally, I think, of course, valuation is important, but we need to see the technologies behind the valuations. I think that's what the key. I think that's what the key to drive the Chinese tech industry to next level.
Well, that's certainly something that we can look forward to in the next 5 or 10 years. Thank you again for talking to us today.